All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is Wednesday, May the 4th, 2016. And the title of tonight's webinar is Sensible Trade Setups that Work. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. By the way, just real quick, just because we've got new members in over the weekend, wanted to mention that for every new member that's out there, of course, you've got your login to get into this password protected site. Okay, it's under the members menu on our website. Of course, it'll say your name if you know that's the way you put it in the computer. So it says, welcome Gary, nice little greeting there. And be sure and watch this webinar right here first. Okay, because that's a 2-hour webinar, kind of extensive and everything, but it will teach you a lot about the tools. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the reason for tonight's webinar, and that is sensible trade setups that work. Now, everybody knows that last week I went over, we were talking about 4 trade setups. Okay, we talked about the mid-band, we talked about the phantom, and we talked about the mid-band type of boxing in. Okay, now does anybody know what my 2 other favorite trades are? Anybody out there? 2 of my favorite trades. Can you guess what they are? Well, if there's a hint there, train your eyes to see those swings. And we're going to be also introducing Object Trader Lightning MTF, which everybody should have gotten yesterday. I've got a little, basically this is hidden here, but it's just because it's transparent. But if you've guessed what my favorite trades are, they're right here. If you guessed retracement trades and minor breakout trades, you got it right. Okay, because I love retracement trades and I love those little minor breakout trades. And you'll find that even if you go against the trend a lot of times, you can get those little scalps. Okay, so you know, don't be afraid of that. At least try it in sim. And the whole idea is you got to break lightning first. You got to be knowing that you're going a certain direction again before you take those trades, because obviously, just like this chart shows right here, you know, you've got red lightning and then all of a sudden you got a little green lightning right here, right? So that's kind of breaking that swing right there. Okay, and I took everything off this chart on purpose because I try to teach my webinars to where I go for as simplistic as possible. Get those charts as bare as you can to learn. And then once you learn, you can throw some things on the charts. Okay, let's go ahead and put this on here since it's right now in transparent, or actually it's in black. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in yellow so that we can see it for right now. Okay. Now, this is a real chart, by the way. Okay. And with a real chart, you'll notice that we have the lightning on here so that you can see the different lightnings. I'm going to go ahead and go over the 4 new lightnings. Okay. And everybody should have these. And the only difference in lightning 1, 2, and 3 that we had before was you couldn't change the time frames on it. Now you can. Okay, lightning 1, to give an example, I'm playing around with this with just a 4 tonight. I'm using, you know, I'm basically going in for even a 5 range just to see what the swings look like differently. But now we can do this. We couldn't do it before. Okay, so I'm doing a 4 range tonight. I'm doing a 5 range 2 strength for my secondary swing. I'm doing this one for my, basically this is my medium trend, 5 range, 12 strength. You could go 4 range, 15 strength if you want, either way. And last but not least, this is your 12 range chart with a 5 swing strength. Okay, and on this chart you can clearly see that these are where these swings are. Okay, let me just see if I can get this scrunched up a little bit. If I can There we go. Okay, notice that these peaks on here, for instance, if I was to draw this, like for instance with the backspace from here, let's see if I can get it to draw. Bear with me a second. I may have to get my price. There we go. Okay, this is just pretty much the larger swing strength. And of course, we realize that this is not a swing strength that we're going to be trading by. This is just a swing that we're looking to see what the overall trend is. Okay? And we're using these minor swings to actually get the trades. Okay? Now, let me go ahead and open a regular chart, and we're going to go into what that favorite trade is. Oh, before I do though, let me ask everybody in here, if you were looking at this chart right here, there's two types of trades on here that I think you ought to really get used to seeing. Okay? One of them would simply be a breakup of there and try to get to here. That would be a decent little trade, right? Okay, and we can clearly see it's breaking lightning swings. And what's another trade on here? Quick question for the team. And we'll put platinum on here and everything in just a few minutes. Okay? But you remember that trade I called in Russell this morning? Well, the reason for that is because we were looking for this little trade here. What trade is setting up right here, just like I showed this morning in the room? A break above and a kiss back, right? That's a trade that you need to really train your eyes to look for. Because if you get to where you can see that trade, you could get in on one chart, for instance, with this trade right here. You could get in even on another chart with this trade right here, or you could just simply add. You know, for instance, let's say you started with a couple of contracts here, and this happens to go up and test here, and it even breaks through. Okay, then you're just waiting for the retracement back into this area right here, this a priori swing, and you add to your contracts. Okay, that's those two favorite trades that I absolutely love. That's the retracement trade, which is that one right there, and the minor breakout trades, which is this one right here. And this one right here, you'd basically, what would you do with this one? Well, you could box it in, couldn't you? And take the trade when it breaks up into the box, and maybe even add a contract if it takes out like resistance here, right? Let me go ahead and change the color of that box so you can see it better. Something like that, right? So in other words, take a trade long here when it takes out lightning, add to it when it takes out resistance here, cover a little bit when it gets up here, right? In other words, take out a contract or so, and then even get ready to jump in if it does this and pulls back. Does this and pulls back. Okay? Now notice the reason I'm showing you this on a really, really bare chart is because these are real prices on this chart, as everybody knows that's been to my webinars. This has actually just got the prices all transparented out so you can't see them. But it gives you a real good idea of how to see the trades. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go to the actual chart and see what we can glean from it. All right. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Just a little different because you're seeing all the colors and things like that, aren't you? But aren't you seeing the same thing? Let's just go ahead and draw it on the chart again. Let's see, bear with me a second. Bear with me 1 second. I may not have changed. I thought I did, but let me check and see what my settings are on this chart. I changed this earlier. Went back to a 6 range. I'll go ahead and go to a 4. We'll make sure this is we'll go with a 4 tonight because we've done that for weeks and weeks. And let's make sure we got this one at a 12 swing strength, and we'll go with 4 on it also. Actually, it was 15, wasn't it? Sorry about that. Okay, and then we'll go with this one with the 12 and the 5. And I'll go ahead and save this template right here. Bear with me just 1 second. And then I'll save the workspace because what happened just a little bit ago is I had to restart these charts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go template, save as, and we'll save it like that. Template. Why are you doing that to me? Template, load, and we'll load that. All right. Now this is a pause chart, so this could make Lightning go kind of crazy. All right. So you should be able to see it, right? And I'm going to go ahead and save that workspace so it's going to remember it if we happen to lose anything. And then let's go back and let's see our little lightning swings. Okay, we'll go with, there's our lightning that we had just a minute ago, isn't it? Just like on that black chart. See that same thing right there? Okay, now that looks kind of ominous to take along, doesn't it? Because you're thinking, wow, this is a red background and everything. But it's taking out resistance here. It's taking out this lightning swing right here. So is this actually a little trade that we can take, like, for instance, on a breakout type trade? Like so, if it breaks above that little swing right there. And you're thinking, well, wait a minute, that's mid-band now too. But it's taking out lightning swings because this is your, like, your little micro lightnings. So let's go ahead and just do that for the fun of it. And we'll go to one chart so you can see it. And let's see if it'll work. Bar closed long. We'll go ahead and give it a shot. Strictly because we're seeing this starting to do the lightning back to the upside too. See the little green lightning instead of the red? And this prints in real time as soon as it breaks these swings. So this prints fairly quickly for you. Okay, now I would definitely protect my coin the way we teach every single trade, and that would be underneath this lightning. Right here, this little swing right here. Didn't get it yet, did we? Just hitting resistance so far. No big deal. We'll just wait. Well, we're in it now. I've got a little trend line drawn too. I like to draw trend lines on my charts. You notice you have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, and that's a good trend line. So you could definitely protect some coin up there, couldn't you? And you could also even protect it at the little resistance areas if you just want to get scalp type trades. You know, here's a resistance area across here, like so. I'm going to change the color of these things because that yellow is not quite user friendly on this chart. We'll go ahead and go a dark blue. Okay, we're feeling a little bit of heat. Now with 3 contracts, we've got 4 ticks of heat. I'm going to go ahead and put my stop at my lightning swing with exit on close. Okay, we'll just stick it out because it's a lightning minor trend change. How would y'all like to have, I don't know if I can get this done, may even take a couple of months or something, but something hit me like a ton of bricks while I was getting ready to go to sleep last night, and that was, what about like a color guard that would be up here and telling you where the trend was on all the lightning swings? So in other words, confirmation, you know, you've got a downtrend, you've got a downtrend, you've got a downtrend, but then you've got a minor uptrend. You see what I mean? You just know that you might want to really watch that uptrend because everything else is down. And that's something we could really add because with these swings, we've actually got numbers that show up even if they don't show on your chart. Okay? Even though you're not seeing numbers here, they're just transparented out. So naturally the programmer could easily come up with a way to say, okay, I'm getting higher lows and higher highs on my micro trend. I'm getting lower highs and lower lows on my secondary, for instance, then we'd know, you know, when these trend changes happen and things like that. Let's see if we can get up above that just a little bit. It's kind of slow, isn't it? Now, how many of you take little breakout trades like this? Just curious. You know, because if this is first time into mid-band after it turned this red color, we'd have to protect this, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't go ahead and go long, for instance. I would have probably gone long when it went above this one to begin with because that was lightning down here. Everybody see that? Like so. And of course it would be breaking resistance too. So if it did pop above it and didn't pull back hardly at all and popped up, I'd take a trade like that. Okay. Now let me ask you a quick question. If this was to change trends, true trends, where's our next trade on this chart? Because everybody's seen this probably 1,000 times. Yeah, and you can stick with the trend, absolutely, Dennis. But, you know, I was showing another gentleman today. We were playing with his and Sim and just showed these little boxes like this and just strictly going for like 5 ticks. And you wouldn't believe how many of them worked. It's actually pretty amazing how many of them worked, actually. Okay. Now we're back to the heat a little bit right now, right? We haven't closed above our swing, so our stop's still down here, unfortunately. Now, if it was to take out this swing right across here, see where that support is, I would probably flip that trade, by the way. Okay? But you can box in these trades when they get around these mid bands. And it's not a bad idea if you want to box them in a little bit lower, like, you know, for instance, when they break lightning. Just try that and do it in Sim even a little bit and see if you can't get 5 ticks, because 5 ticks on 3 contracts on crude is $150. So that would add up pretty quickly. Now, it wouldn't if you went 3 contracts and you lost 12 ticks every time, right? So you have to use your lightning swings to manage your trade. Okay, but now, like I said, this is a risky trade here, but I can tell you where the next trade is just simply because we see this time and time and time again. Does everybody see the secondary swing, or what we call the medium swing? Right there, right? So let me ask you a question. A high, a low, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs still, right? Lower lows. But if it takes this out, isn't that actually a trend change? You'll see our software actually even confirm it. But let's just go ahead and play this one out real quick and see if we can get in another trade that's my favorite trade too. It's the retracement trade. This was the little breakout trade right here. Not doing much right now. It's up, what, 30 bucks? You know, it's been down about 120. If it'll pop up above that little swing right there, we'll bring our stop all the way under here, like that. Okay? But you got to be careful getting that close. See, we're only 4 ticks. Well, that would be $120 basically if it got stopped out. But until it takes out that swing, this lightning is not identified. This is where your lightning's at. Everybody see that? Now, when it closes above here, if it does, then this will be your new lightning swing. And that's good enough. Everybody see that? Okay, but what if you weren't gutsy enough and you didn't want to take this chance and you close it out? There's $210, by the way. Okay, not a bad little trade, right? Okay, what if you boxed it in like Charles and I teach all the time? Well, it's already breaking that box, right? So could you just hit market order when it's above that box? See what I mean? Protect your coin at Phantom. You might even protect it a little lower than Phantom just for a scalp. Something like that. Okay, because we're still red, right? But we did break out of our mid band. It did box in just like we teach. Feeling a little heat on that one again. What do? Well, you got to stay with it. Because as long as lightning is heading up, then I'm pretty much expecting this to at least hold. Under here at least. I'd probably, with jumping in a trade that was off like this, I would probably still keep my stop at the original 12. Okay, that way you're not giving up 15 ticks on 3 contracts. You're going to like that new lightning, David? I agree. I like the new lightning too. Okay. Now, don't we have a decent little trade there? What if we short Phantom for a quick little trade? And by the way, You could just short it to where it just comes down to the previous support area. That's phantom right there. It may not get down to mid-band. We don't know. But would that be a decent trade too if it keeps rolling over, that is? But where were we talking about a trade setting up on this to begin with? Thrust and retrace, right? Thrust and retrace. Well, we're feeling a little heat on that one. That's a phantom trade though. I like that particular trade. It's 80% probability trade. Didn't quite hit our trend line. It may still. We don't care if it does because we got our stop in. See if we can get something out of this trade. That's a phantom trade. I'm going to go ahead and protect it now though, because I don't really trust it if it goes much above that. See what I mean? Just in case this is a breakout. But see, I'm still in red background chart. So what I'm taking right now is counter trend still, right? Took a long now. I took a short here, so this isn't counter trend. This is with the trend. And all we're trying to do is get down to where it broke up. And maybe wick a little bit below it. But where can it not take out if it's going to continue up? Everybody in here should know this. Taught this 100 times or 100,000 times almost. Well, not that many. But anyway, you see the swing that it can't take out? It can't take out that swing right there because that is the identified lightning swing. So if this is going to continue up, that swing has to hold. See why? High, low, higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high. Low didn't take out the high, so this is your new low possibly. We don't know yet, okay? But this is where you can't take it out if it's going to continue up. So wouldn't you expect that if this comes right back across here at this a priori swing, that more than likely that would be a good trade back to the long side? Once this phantom, if this phantom works out, that is. Otherwise, we may have to wait for a thrust and a retrace. Support's right there at 43.74. Can't take out 43.68. We're going to try to get this little trade to at least come down to this support from our phantom. Your ultimate target is mid-band, but when I see support as heavy as it was through there, you got to really watch that because it can't take this out, so it can't get to mid-band. Not if it's going to head up, that is. We've still got decent profit, right? I'm going to go ahead and protect. Let's see here. It should hit its head right here at this swing. See it? So we could take one off there. That's where we got that contract sitting, right on top of that swing. And it could easily bounce off that swing too. That's a minor pullback. I'm going to speed this up. This is ridiculously slow. See if we can get our targets on there. Right on top of the swing. Is the bar going to close and get us in? Is it going to come down a little bit further? Nope, we're in. Target will be right here, right? Of course, you could put one runner. I mean, let's face it. We know that resistance is right here, right? So we could easily get rid of all of our contracts at resistance except for one runner. They usually double check those, don't they? Now, when does this actually change back to the upside? You'll see the actual line turn green here in just a minute. As soon as it identifies that swing, that is. It's trying. There you go. Here's your green line. And where's our target on this one? Well, It's at this ellipse, isn't it? You remember what I did this morning showing everybody how you can do something like this? See this ellipse right here? Look to the left to trade the right. That's fairly good resistance, isn't it, across here? That ellipse. You know, see if we can get a quick 5 ticker. Let's see if we can do it quick enough on this chart. We'll stay long on one and we'll short the other one. Strictly at the ellipse. Bar line. See if we can get 5 ticks. Oh, doggone it. Too quick. Almost got it. Almost got it. Should have used sniper. Everybody see that? That wouldn't have been a bad little trade. I'm not going to try it again because that's into the ellipse and we missed it. Okay, but notice how I drew that line there and it was so close to it. You can get 5, 6, 7, 8 ticks on those ellipses like that pretty easily when they do this thrust up, because this script right here is pretty salty. What about the line in the middle of the ellipse? Isn't it support and resistance also? Well, it actually is, but I find that, see, that's actually this swing right here pretty close. See it right there? But the bottom of the ellipse is actually where it's calculating the swing is based on the price action. Okay. Now, by the way, this is breaking lightning. Could we add some contracts? Well, if we wanted to, we certainly could. You just broke lightning right there. Don't want them to take out this swing right across here, really, right? Well, we didn't get our short, so we'll go back to this chart. We'll get another one. If you want to try another one, we'll try another ellipse. But it's going to have to be higher than that one. I don't like them when they don't go higher than that one. If we get another one that does substantially higher, we'll go ahead and try it. That's not a bad one there. That's not higher, but that's perfectly at that same resistance. We're just going to try to get 5 ticks. Five ticks is all I care about. Got it. See there? You can. We should have put that on a, well, we couldn't because it's on replay, but if that was on a different account, you'd be seeing that you got, you know, $100 bill on that particular trade right there. Okay. If you're trading for somebody else and you see something happening like we're seeing right now, where's support on this chart? What's right there, isn't it? Wouldn't you expect this one to be a little higher? See that little lightning swing right there being broken? Could I try to get 5 more ticks on this chart while I'm still doing a runner on this chart? See how it broke that lightning swing right there? And all I'm trying to do is just do a little scalping across here and ride a runner over here. We've got 3 runners on here right now. Okay, I'd move this target, by the way, to that ellipse. See it? When that ellipse showed up right there, that's telling me where my target's at. So why not go for that target, right? Now, where would my stop be now? Well, everybody knows how we trade, right? You use the lightning swing. It's got to close above there. It just did. Bring your stop just under there, close of the bar. How do you like the MTF lightnings? Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. I'm going to trust this ellipse and try to get 5 ticks. See it? Stop's going to be very tight, though. That ellipse was higher. Not yet. Is it going to get me? Might do it. Well, that's okay. We tried the ellipse. If it gets us, it gets us. I want 5 ticks first, but I think it's going to get us on that one. That looks like higher lows and everything. So you can protect your trade. Well, look at there. I got it. Everybody see that? That's pretty cool. Look at that come down and hit that green ellipse just on the money. Now, let me ask you a question. Could you trade off that green ellipse too? Notice how if you drew that line right across there, see how that came right down on top of that swing right there. And again, that's my favorite trade right there. That's that retracement trade. We draw that in the room every single day. Okay? And by the way, if you miss it like that, wait for it to do a bar close down like it's done already. Don't let it take out this little swing here because that's your lightning swing. And then take a quick long if it happens to pop it. Okay? Now this is a little bit more aggressive, but I wanted to show you a really good way to trade. You know, for instance, we took 2 shorts, didn't we? Did they work? They did work. How many people, if you could get to the point you could do that almost every single day in and day out at those ellipses, think about 3 contracts, $150, right? Well, you got 50, 50, and 50, right? $150 minus commissions and slippage. But do that 3 times in the morning and see if that's not a, you know, almost a $500 bill, say 400 anyway. And that type of trading can flat work. Okay? Definitely not a bad way to trade. We're bouncing right off an ellipse. What do we expect this to do if it's getting higher lows and higher highs? We expect it to head on up, don't we? And if you miss a trade, there's times you can still get that trade, right? Now in this chart, I'm just trying to go for what? The top? How about the ellipse? Just try to go for that ellipse. See if I can get it. See if I can get that ellipse. That'll be a little bit more than 5 ticks, obviously. That's 11 ticks. Now, where's our stop going to be? Well, lightning is already here, isn't it? See it right here? As soon as it closes above here, we can even raise it just a little bit more with this wick. And that's if, but we got our stop in. These ellipses, you know, I know I've heard Charles a couple of times say if they're noisy on your charts, you can actually, you know, take them off. That's why I made them to where they're so, you know, where they don't just really show on your chart so heavily that they just bug you to death. You see what I mean? They're real, you know, they're not like a real opaque or anything. They're kind of, you know, translucent. You can just see right through them and everything. So, you know, they're good. I like them. And I like watching them too, because when they come down and you can draw your lines on your chart and you know right where it's retracing to. How many times do we see this time and time again that thrust retraces right back to support? So why would anybody have an excuse not to trade it that way? You remember that trade I called on Russell this morning? We drew the line, little blip out. We drew the line back up to exactly where it would retrace to, and we took the trade. And I think we got like, I don't remember, 50 ticks or something like that. You know, sometimes you can get so many ticks on a chart that you don't even care to even, you're just looking at dollars. Some of the people I get new, they want to kind of know how many ticks on Object Trader, kind of like Chart Trader does. But, you know, truthfully, I can't take ticks to the bank, and dogs don't like them either. So I like to see this myself. Now we could change this to where you could click it like a Chart Trader and change this to how many ticks you're up, you know, how much percentage and all that, you know, stuff. But who really cares? This is what you're interested in right here, right? This is what it's all about. It's bottom line. Absolutely. And if you get too much on Object Trader, you just slow it down. You know, it's a strategy. It's a Ninja Trader strategy. Why difference in the ellipse colors? That's a very good question, Pat, and I'm going to answer that for you. The difference in the ellipse colors is, notice when the midband is magenta or rose colored or even red, that the ellipses are white. and magenta. When you get this nice move up, they start getting these ellipses, you know, where they break these higher ones, and you start, see, this is still your pink and your white, right? But notice here you got a green one. That's because this changed. See that? And this one's green, and it's going to stay green now until it actually goes into more of a downtrend. Okay? Now, if you remember right, on CL today, we got some nice monster moves. I don't remember exactly, but when we got into the trading room, I called one. We got a nice trade on that one, just flipped up real nice. And that's the type of trades that I personally like really, really well. And you want to get to the point where you're not just greedy about your trading anyway. You know, if you're making a decent living trading, you absolutely don't have to just keep going trade after trade after trade. You know, you're going to lose on a trade here and there. I mean, we call, usually as a rule, 2 to 3 bad trades in the room in a morning out of probably 20-ish, 25, something like that. Okay? Now, one thing I want you to really keep in mind also, though, is when you take these mid-band trades that are boxed in, if you're going against the trend and you come down to phantom, protect that coin, because, you know, time and time again you see that thing just bounce like a little bullet. Okay? You know, for instance, what if you would have taken this little trade right here? Let's just say that you had seen this, you got up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you saw this little consolidation patch. So you said, you know what, I'm going to take a long. Well, guess what? When it popped up to phantom, you wanted to cover it under that line, because that's pretty much where lightning was. Okay? Because that was still a downtrend, wasn't it? And that was also first time into phantom after a trend change. See, the green went to magenta, first time into phantom. First time into phantom. First time into phantom on this one, I do believe. Yep. See it right there? Now, one thing I want to caution you on too is if you see these little blips like at news events and things like that, be careful when these turn green like this, because how many times have you seen tops taken out just barely? See, here's your top on this particular chart right here. See your low, your high, your lower low, and they barely took it out and they rolled over. So this phantom you're not really looking at, right? Plus, by the time it got down here, it had changed to red. So you probably wouldn't have taken that phantom anyway. Phantoms work really, really well when you see this. You know, when they do a nice thrust up, they pull back, you know, like in the mid band first off, and then they pull back up, something like that, say, maybe just barely taking it out, and then they come back down and they test phantom, you know, or somewhere around phantom. Those are really good trades, especially if they've really popped up, say something like that. Let's say your phantom's down in here on a rose-colored chart, then you can trust those quite a bit and box them in. You know, you don't have to just take, like I said this morning in the trading room, you don't have to catch a falling knife. Those hurt. You ever as a kid stupid and do something like that? Throw a knife up in the air and try to catch it by the handle? Well, it hurts when you catch it by the blade. Okay, I don't know if anybody in here is that dumb, but we used to do stuff like that when I was a kid. Actually, when I was a kid, we used to even do something really dumber, and don't ever let your kids do this. We would lay out in the field and shoot arrows in the air and see how close they'd come to us. That was really dumb. Okay? Kids are stupid. So we're not kids, right? We want to always make sure that we're not catching a falling knife, or that we're not trying to short a rocket ship, right? Yeah, that was pretty bad, wasn't it? Oh boy. Can you believe Gary did that? Gary did that, believe me. My brother one time put his arm out in front of me while I was shooting a bow and arrow because it was his turn, and I let go of the bow and the arrow went in his arm. Yeah, we were kind of rough little bunch in the old days. There is hope for the rest of us, David says. Yep, probably shouldn't have recorded this. But anyway, yeah, I did some stupid things when I was growing up. Let's see, what is the percentage probability of price reaching the ellipse? Well, actually, it's really good. Notice how You know, even when you're chopping around, just to give you an example, this ellipse right here on this phantom showed up before it ever got there. Those come in real time. So you were looking at that ellipse as a good rollover potential to begin with, and see it did. Okay? And you'll notice a lot of times in chop, to give an example. See, here's your first time in the mid-band after a trend change. There's the first time it hit the ellipse. Good 10-tick trade or better. Okay? This one hit an ellipse, but it would have been an opposite trade. But this trade we take a lot, don't we? High, low, higher high, pulls into mid-band, box it in, boom. And it did hit an ellipse. It was actually the wrong color ellipse, but we do call that type of trade in the room because we're looking for that trade to thrust up and pull back into support. No, we're still heading up, aren't we? Still heading up right into our ellipse, aren't we? And there's your ellipse right up there. Now, let me ask you a quick question on this chart. Where is the next trade on this chart setting up as we speak? Where's it setting up on the chart? Mid-band, right? Because that is a thrust up, by the way. Okay? We're looking for a mid-band type trade or an ellipse. You want to see if we can just take it blindly? I don't know if we can, but I'm pretty sure that this happened right about the time we opened, if I remember right, this morning. And watch for the ellipse and see if it doesn't do it in real time. Let's just fast forward this thing, see if we can get this trade off the table. There we go. All right, where's mid-band right now? Mid-band's right there. Our lightning swing that cannot be taken out is right there. High, low, much higher high. That's what we call our secondary or even medium swing, right? So it can't take that out if we're going to continue going up, can it? Because if it did, you're not going to continue going up. So where do you think the trade is on the chart? Well, right now, we don't even know because it's still heading up, right? Our other chart, I think we're still good, aren't we? We ran runners on that. Look at that. Way up here. We can even get our target out of the way even, right? Bring our stop way under here, obviously. Actually, you could even put it under here, but I don't think I would. That's too close. That's a pretty good stop right there. Exit on close. Okay, let's just see if we can get another trade. You could have gotten this one, couldn't you? Right at the ellipse. Let's see if we get another ellipse trade. I'm going to try to do it in a high-speed motion and see if I can just grab it. Watch and see if the ellipse forms. It'll probably take us out here if it does, because we're going to be heading down more likely to mid-band, right? Not yet, though. Now, isn't that a lightning swing right there that's fairly identified? I don't think I'd short it up there, but you might if it takes it out and kisses it and rolls over. And just do it for 5 ticks, though. Okay, here we go. There's your ellipse, isn't it? I didn't quite get there. But I'm going to go ahead and take it anyway because it came awful close to my ellipse. Didn't quite get it, so I got a feeling they're still going to tag it. And that's 3 contracts on there. So I probably wouldn't add any more. That's good enough. Just came to the top, didn't it? Let's see if we can get it again. Right on the ellipse. It's going to go to that ellipse first. Let's see if we can get the next one. Going to watch for this little trade right here. See if we can get that ellipse. I think we already got it. It came within a tick. We did nail it, but we should have probably stayed in the trade. That's okay. Can't catch every one of them. Where's our next trade on this chart as we're looking at the chart? Always look to the left to trade the right. Let's see if we can figure it out in real time. Okay, let's see. They've been down to 4407, right? See that swing right there? All right, so that negates that one. But where's another swing that they just took out with a vengeance? See if midband doesn't come right up there with it. See if midband doesn't just follow that trade right on up. We'll get it. Now, where's our swing that would make a difference if this started going down instead of up? I wish Ninja would actually put a horizontal line in their new program. I may even talk to them on it, because if they did, it'd be great. 2 horizontal lines, one for, one color and one a different color. That'd be kind of a cool thing to do, because you could have a down line and you could have an up line. See if we can get us a trade. Not yet. I don't like that one. It didn't come quite. We're getting there. Whoa, that was too quick. I grabbed it anyway, though. I'm going to just go ahead and go to that ellipse right there. Now, if you're not that gutsy of a trader, do it this way instead, okay? Just box it in instead. See where it's boxing in right above that little swing right there? See that? You can still get it. I just did that market because I've got this going so fast that it's going a little quicker than we could have drawn the box. But hey, that's a decent trade too. By the way, that's the trade we called in the room this morning, I do believe. Remember, I called it on that bar right there. I remember it. Remember that bar right there? We got that trade. Stop's going to be underneath the swing, just in case it's through. Now, while we're setting up right now, where do you think the next trade is on this chart? Well, we don't know just yet, right? Because it's got to do a thrust, and it's got to do a pullback. But like I said, that's my favorite trade that is actually getting ready to set up there. We got to get a little thrust. Go ahead and get that out of the way, just in case. We're already flat on this chart. Got a little ellipse forming so far, right around 30. We haven't got our thrust up just yet. Let's see where we would more than likely look at this trade right here. That's your swing right across there. Remember in the room this morning we talked about that swing right there. If it held. Does everybody remember it? And by the way, if you see something like that happening right there, it comes down to support. Doesn't take it out. See how it's coming right down to the support area? That's where we expected it to check. Put your stop right across there. Don't you took me out, you little turkey. You're going back in. I'm going to go back in on lightning right here. Or here now. Box it in. See why I did that? They just tested my line so far. And they wicked it just then. See if we can get this thing going up. Remember that one this morning in the room too? Feeling a little heat on that one right now. We'll see if it'll go ahead and hold. So far it is. Support's holding. Got to have a little heat occasionally. I'm going to go ahead and put my stop just underneath that wick just in case. Everybody see why I jumped back in that one? Because it just perfectly came down to support, but they just got us out of it. It touched the line. Sometimes you can have your stop a little too tight. Look at that. Remember that this morning? We got that trade. It was a pretty good trade too. So where do you think your next trade is on this chart? Looking at this chart, where can they not come down to and still give you a good trade? Let's just go ahead and go over here and look. Bear with me a second. Okay, let's diagnose the chart. Swing that's identified right here. Can't take it out if we're going to head up, right? But it just barely identified it, so you got to be careful with this. Okay, but that swing it should not be able to take out. What have we got forming on the chart right now? An ellipse right at mid-band. See if we can get 5 ticks just for the fun of it. Just going to scalp it. There's support. It's breaking lightning again. Then we got 3 with targets now. See if we can ride this little dude. Everybody see why we got in that one also? We knew it couldn't take this out, right? This was that trade that Charles and I boxed in this morning. Remember it? Remember we talked about it at the open? If it bounced off of support right here? That was right at 830, or really close to 830 anyway. And then you just move your targets out of the way. That trade was called live in the room. And then, of course, you can just simply do your trail stops and everything. Does everybody know how to use the trail stops on Object Trader? I think I showed this last week, by the way. And all you do is just go to the trail like this, hit space bar, see your little trail stop right there, enable it, and then engage trail. Your stop will automatically trail those dots. As those dots head up, so will the stop. And then you can even just get rid of your targets if you want. No longer at your broker. You just ride the runner. If you want it closer to mid-band, you can do that also. You want to get it closer to mid-band, just offset it a little bit. Bear with me a second. I got to turn it off for just a second so that we can get it to mid-band. You can also do it with a little larger. Whoop. I believe that's going to be a little over a 5. And let's see, an offset looks like about 4 ticks. Nope, other way. There we go. And then just engage it. And then you're riding a mid-band type trade. How can you set a trail for a fixed number of ticks? We don't actually have that set for a fixed number of ticks, just the trail itself. Now keep in mind, this is a really what I call a wide stop. I don't personally use mid-band for a trail. I like to use the swings. You can also use the swings by just going to this one. There's your swing right there. That's your swing right here for right this very moment. And let's see, 1 strength, that's good enough. And as soon as it makes a little lightning swing, it'll pop it up again. See, right now it's all the way down here. Watch and see if it'll make a lightning swing and it'll pop it up under here. See the reason for that, everybody? Because it shot straight up. If this would have done a little zigzag, then it would tell the scripts to go ahead and use the swing strength of 1. It's getting ready to do it if it'll pop up above there. But if you move this manually, it cuts this off. So I'm going to leave it where it's at. Just let the swing guide my trade, because it'll pop up pretty soon. Hadn't closed. We got it engaged. Did I turn it off? Yeah, it's engaged. Let's see if it pops it up there. Swing strength of 1, offset of 2. See, that's a pretty, there it is. There it just popped up. See? It now knows that that's a swing to be reckoned with. And you can always put the trail stop, exit on close, or you can even offset it a little bit so that you don't quite get taken out if it just wicks those areas, and then re-engage it. Pretty cool way to trade, huh? Pretty cool way to trade. Always look to the left to trade the right, especially when they've gone up anytime you start seeing 40 ticks or so, always look at your charts just to make sure, where was it at before? Well, it's been a long time since it's been over here, so we're good, right? So we'll just put that back over and we'll ride the trade. What do you think about those ellipses? Y'all going to start trading those a little bit more? They're pretty good, especially if you can tag them with support, with those lines that we draw on the charts and everything. And, don't do the shorts right off until you really get good at it, because if you get in a sideways channel, you don't want to do it, okay? But if you start getting these thrusts up, goes into the ellipse, pulls out, gets you 10 ticks. Goes into ellipse again, pulls back, gives you 10 ticks. This one here probably would have stopped you out, because but it never has done where you box it in either. See, this one would have boxed in probably at least under there, for instance, where it kind of thrust down and retraced to it. Let's see just a second. On uptrend, trade on lower ellipses. Well, yeah, definitely. You don't want to just take a breakout through the upper ellipse. Okay, what you're looking for, these nice retracements into the ellipse, and always draw on your charts too. I'll kill this trade because we don't really care about it. I want to show you something. When we opened the room this morning, we were watching this in real time like this, remember? And I think Charles kind of hit the room just about this time right here. And we talked about boxing this in right here, right around mid-band, like so. Now, you probably wouldn't have taken a short, obviously, right? But at the open of the market, you can box them in too, okay? Underneath there, for instance, and it never did it. And you got your little pop out, never filled you. That one filled you right there on that bar if you draw your box. See the candle right there that filled? And then you got that monster move. Now, I want to show you something else that I think is pretty important too. And I know a lot of you veteran traders know this to begin with. But when you've had a huge move up like this, see, this was actually a downtrend until it just started heading up. So that's really not hardly any kind of retracements, is it? And you've had 2 yellow bar probes into mid-band. Don't you think this thing's going to give up the ghost sometime? Well, you ride it until it does, right? But you've still got to be ready for retracements. Now, if you were gutsy and you wanted to go ahead and take a trade, like even way up in here, if you ever do something like this, let's say you just walked in the room and you wanted to take that trade, then tighten your stop just in case. Something like that, okay? Because you don't want to take a chance that the market's just going to immediately retrace on you, okay? And I don't personally like a trade like that. We got this trade right here this morning. This is a thrust trade. You want to get out of the habit of taking those, unless you put a really tight stop underneath your little boxed area because it bounced off support. If you draw lightning, you'll see it. See if I can draw lightning on here. We'll draw it from right here. See your little lightning? Right underneath here, and for sure under here. Okay, because that's actually your identified swing right at this very moment is right there. All right, does anybody have any questions on this? Do you like the idea of some sensible trade setups that work? That is the 4 trade types that I personally like really, really well. The mid-band trade, classic, box them in, beautiful trade. Counter trend trades even, try it in sim. You're going to see lots of times where you can get, 5 ticks on a few contracts and then it does it again. Try it again. Okay? And then also these little retracements where they pull right back into support areas. Okay? Now they won't be on the money, but the way we've designed our indicators and everything, if they don't come to exactly where you think they are, then you're really looking for those trades right around mid-band. You're looking for the phantom type trade, and you're looking for the little breakout at mid-bands, and you're looking for these retracement trades. You want to see if this went ahead and gave any more of a trade? We'll keep the stop real tight. I'll just kick it up to 500 times and see if we got a trade. And it stopped us out. Right on support, though, see it? Yeah, I'm not going to chase it now, though, see it? Just took us out enough. That's why you got to keep your stop a little looser. Okay? And that's why you also don't want to take those trades that are thrusts. Because where's our trade on this chart right now? If we want even a scalp, this has gone up quite a bit, so I'm not looking to make a fortune on this thing anymore. This looks like, well, looky here. Could we try to get to that little bar close right there at that line? I'm going to turn that off until it hits the line. Well, we already got it. Too late, we're in it. See why I did that? That's an ellipse way above the other one. Could it blow through it? Absolutely it could. But do they hit their heads here sometime? I would have probably just done one if we were doing this in the room and everything. But I took this trade this morning. There's that ellipse again. Now that's a little riskier because that's 6 contracts right there. And I put my stop just above that line right there. And all we want is down here to mid-band, like that. Because whereas on our chart, right this very moment, where is the identified swing that could make a difference in whether this goes down or up? That's your secondary swing right there, isn't it? Right underneath mid-band. So could it very possibly start heading down after that? Well, if it starts taking out your lightning swings, it certainly could. And if I remember right, didn't we get a monster short at the inventory? So that kind of proves what was happening right here, because I'm almost positive that it did. Let's just see what it did. We'll be out of here in just a minute. I'm going to kick this up to 500 times just to see what it did. 500 times is not even real fast, is it? There's our little ellipse right down there. Could we, on another chart, take a little bounce? Let's pretend. Yep, there's a bounce. 1, 2, 3, there's a 5 tick easily. Got it. See how that hit the ellipse? Ooh, that's starting to break down, isn't it? Now, wouldn't you think, see where it just hit lightning right across there? It thrust down, it retraced into resistance, and it rolled over. So I'm going to protect the trade just above that right there. Now, if you're more of a conservative trader, which trade are you looking for? Well, you're looking for a breakout below here, right? Now keep in mind this is first time into Phantom, but what's different about this chart than normally on the Phantom type trades? Well, it's really taking out the what we call the secondary swing quite a bit. So this is more than likely a trend change. Yeah, matter of fact, it was. Remember inventory? You can tell this all ahead of time if you just draw on your charts and trade the way we teach. All right, anybody have any questions before we wrap? 500 times, I'm not going to dare touch it right now. Anybody have any questions? David L., I don't have the ES. Remember this little trade here? This was at 932. We got that little trade right there, and we just tried to get down to right there. And we don't, well, we got taken out. Let's go again one more time because it just hit resistance. I'm going to try to get right down to there. Now that's even faster than oil inventory because I got it running 500 times. Try to trade like that once in a while. It looks like we're going to get it. It's right at resistance. Should roll over. Bingo, got it. All right. How can you set a trade? Oh, I already answered that. Just a second. I think I got all the questions answered. Anybody have any final ones before we wrap? This was recorded, so you'll be able to see it in just a little bit, just as soon as I get it posted. And be sure and watch your charts like we teach. And when you get nicely green, you know, just go ahead and count the coin because, you know, these trades are pretty monster. You know, you can make some pretty decent money on them. Does everybody see lightning right there? This risky, but there it is. It just took out lightning to the upside. Is that really risky? Not really, because it took out lightning. And you think, well, wait a minute, that's a mid-band trade. Well, it's already done a mid-band trade. It didn't even take out the low. It even got a higher low. So if they don't take out the low, real quick, and we'll go ahead and wrap after this, because I had a question come in on this. How can you tell you're really looking for like a phantom trade? When they don't take out these lows and you get a mid-band trade and they don't take out these lows over here, you're more than likely looking for the trade that comes in right between here and here. And if you look at where that broke down, that's exactly where that is. So that's where I'd be looking for a trade. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive we got that trade too, because didn't our Band-Aid draw up in here somewhere? Pretty sure. The lightning settings on the one I'm showing, Pat, I'll go over those real quick. The ones I'm showing, and I sent this out differently to everyone because I had been playing with it, but I put this on a 4 and a 1 tonight on Lightning 1 because I like to see these little tighter swings. My Lightning 2, I've got on 4 range 2 swing strength. Lightning 3, 4 range 15 strength. And then this one is 12 range and 5 strength. I'm going to go ahead and tighten my stop on this just in case, just under lightning. It has closed above that one though. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just lag it just a couple of ticks just in case, because we don't want it to just barely close on our line. Did you get those settings okay then? Matter of fact, Peter, on your question, if anybody wants the newest template, just go to the website under members and download this template right here. Just click on it. It'll ask you if you want to save the file. Save the file and then just drag that template into your documents, NinjaTrader 7, templates, chart. So the path is documents / NinjaTrader 7 / templates / chart. And we've got it written on here too. NinjaTrader 7 templates chart. Okay. This is the matter of fact, this has got No, actually, I will put that up. Let me have till in the morning, and I'll put this up on here with exactly the settings I'm using right here. Look at that. Was that a decent trade or what? Drew that ahead of time. Why? Same thing we talked about all night. Support becomes resistance. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great evening. And I'll go ahead and get that template up tomorrow after the room closes. I'm going to just convert this video tonight and get some supper and relax. It's been a long day. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great evening. Bye everyone. Thanks.